Hey guys, welcome. We've had a 2-week hiatus. I'm happy to be back here with you. This is Beyond 22 Basketball, the podcast. Used to be known as Let It Fly, but had some litigation issues. We went over that last time we were on, but we've got a good show. We got a lot to catch up on, and Clemson's had 4 big wins in a row. Football season's over now. Maybe some more people could start paying attention to basketball. That would make me happy, and the way they're playing, it would make you happy too. We've got a lot of other things to go along with it. Because it's been so long since we've really talked hoops on this show, we decided to do some power rankings. I got my man Faxon. He's going to do his power rankings for the season, and I'm going to do my power rankings this season. We also have, of course, Big Fax's mid-major player of the week, so that should be good. We got some games to watch, and then we're going to look ahead to UNC. There's going to be a couple of players on this year's team that have a chance to be undefeated this decade against Carolina. I got my main man Faxon, who's about to sit down. We're going to have a good show. Faxon, how are you, my man?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. Today's a good day. We have a lot going on, and we're just going to go ahead and get to it. What did you think about the Tigers' performance the past couple of days, Fax?
I don't think it could have gone better from the perspective of missing Hunter Tyson is obviously huge, right? And when you're missing a starter, it's not easy to replicate that production. Yeah. And when you're doing that, it's Hunter Tyson, leading rebounder on the team.
There we go.
John Newman, he missed Miami's game. We still beat him. Yeah. So it's good.
Yeah, good. All right, so we're going to talk about the past few games. Clemson's had some good ones. Morehead State, we all kind of figured that was going to be a pretty good performance. Not necessarily the most talented team. They had some spots, but it was a game you got to work on, so that's fine. The next one, this one was important. Florida State is loaded with talent. Scotty Barnes, Anthony Polite, Malik Osborne, Balsa Koprivica, a bunch of guys that can put the ball in the basket, and they still have that presence defensively. They're not quite where they were last season, but they're still plenty good enough to compete for the top of the ACC. I think it's a team that could make a run come the ACC tournament. But the team handled the ball really well against pressure, and they rebounded the ball outstandingly, Fax.
Yes, I definitely would agree with that. And the Tigers, going forward for the scheduling, it's Clemson's going to have some tough scheduling going forward, playing North Carolina, playing Syracuse and Virginia over these next 3 games. So it should be interesting to see how the Tigers can respond to that. And hopefully the Tigers can go 2-1 in this stretch, and I think they would consider that a win if they can. Yeah,
absolutely. Do you have the rebounding stats? I want to say that Clemson out-rebounded Florida State by about 15 rebounds.
I can pull up these rebounding stats really quickly.
Yeah, and they just played well all the way through. Just different guys handling pressure, not being bothered. You have guys that can make plays on your own. Alamir Dawes has been playing fantastic as of late. Also played really well against Florida State.
And the Tigers out-rebounded Florida State by 14, 49-35. So definitely a big game inside for the Tigers there. And that's without Hunter Tyson. Leading rebounder on the team's out. You're still beating Florida State on the glass by almost 15 boards. That's a great performance.
I've been hearing that Hunter might make his return against North Carolina, or it might be the next week. Just kind of, he needs to take his time. Anytime you have a facial injury of that seriousness, you need to be careful because you got concussions, you got all sorts of things going on that way. But after that, they had Miami. I actually called this game on the radio. Miami's not an easy place to play. You go down to Coral Gables, you're going to have tough defense. Coach Larinaga is a fantastic coach. He does a nice job packing the lane and making you beat them over the top. What does that mean? You're going to have to hit threes. You're going to have to drag people out. And there was a heck of a chess match. And Nick Honor hit some massive shots to go along with Amir Sims' game winner.
Yes, Amir Sims drops 25 in this game, obviously. Incredible performance. Nick Honor didn't play too great in the first half, but going on to the second half, he hit some massive shots. He got the game-winning steal, ended up being at the end of the game. And then there was that catastrophe at the end with Bear and the out-of-bounds and the clock, But that didn't end up making a difference on the game. Clemson actually got out-rebounded by Miami, as weird as it is, by 7, but still shot 43% from 3, good enough to keep them in the game. And Amir, obviously, on that tough drive, had like 3 people around him, just threw it up there and got the roll.
And the chess match between Larinaga and Brownell was so much fun to watch, Faxon, because Nyseer Brooks, a 7-footer who transferred from Cincinnati, sat out last year. He was in the game. So what did Clemson do? They started running a lot of pick and pop actions. They started getting their big men involved more so to where he's getting open for threes. Then what happened? Amir hits 2 threes. Then Miami goes small. What happens then? Clemson were stalled a little bit. They started switching everything on the perimeter, and then they really, to be honest with you, struggled getting to the basket and creating things for others. Second half came alive. Brownell calls 2 post plays right away to get Amir Sims to the top of the key, or no, get him a post feed from the top of the key. There's no help. He's able to finish over top. He did that for 3 possessions in a row. They got a couple of backdoor cuts, and then Nasir Brooks comes back in. It was a constant chess match. It was a lot of fun, and it was the first time all season that Clemson has faced a team that went small on them. And not only went small, but went small with some very talented players in Matt Cross and Earl Timberlake, Harlan Beverly, Isaiah Wong. They have guys that can get it done. It's a good team. It's a great win. Brownell going into the game against Larranaga away was 0-9 career, playing away from his home against Larranaga. Massive win against a very talented Miami team that's injured, but they're a team that's going to start rolling and getting some wins as the season goes along. This NC State team is interesting. This is a team that's going to compete for the top of the league. I didn't see it coming. I don't think Faxon saw it coming. I don't think a lot of people saw it coming. But this is a team that has multiple scores. They have a lot of different ways to get into sets, and they have a lot of different ways to get people involved. Not necessarily the same team that they've had in the past as far as get up in the passing lanes and deny. But they have a lot of different guys that can run the pick and rolls. They have a lot of different guys that can make things happen with the ball. Devin Daniels, Tigers were able to stifle him towards the end of the game, and he was able to finally get some shots towards the middle, towards halftime. At the end of the game, the pressure finally caught up to him. Even Devin Daniels, a potential All-ACC player, but it finally got to him. You were at the game, weren't you, Fax?
I was at this NC State game, and Devin Daniels, I felt like lit the Tigers up in the first half especially. Second half, he got some of those floaters mid to late second half, but at the end, I think he had 3 crunch time turnovers in fourth quarter and OT. He played a ton of minutes. He had to have been running out of gas, but still a fantastic player and performance from him. Thunderberg was someone that the Tigers really couldn't stop either. I think he ended up with 20, and he made all of his free throws. That was a really impressive performance from him as well, but the Tigers were just the better team and got over the hump.
Yeah, it's funny now that we talk about it. I wish that I would have broken down some film to where we could come in and watch it, because I was shocked at how well that Clemson did playing against Manny Bates. Manny Bates has 24 blocked shots on the year. As a team, NC State is I want to say 4th in the nation when it comes to block shots per game, and nobody else on the team has more than 1. He's in the top 10 in the country if he was a team. He's one of the best shot blockers without question. He protects the rim at a high rate. But the way Amir Sims was able to attack him and get in his chest and get him off balance and then extend over, that takes some serious coaching. Antonio Reynolds-Dean has done a nice job with him, helping Amir learn how to negate his lack of height in order to be productive.
Yes, I agree. And, Nick Honor, I got to give credit to him especially because he was not scared of Bates inside the lane. There were multiple times where he went up and made contested finishes over or around Bates. And the Tigers really, for someone that I felt like the Tigers shied away from last year and failed to attack last year, and that's why they lost to NC State, completely different mindset this year. Clyde Trapp, I felt, had a really good game, especially finishing around the rim. And when Amir got going late, he was finishing over Bates and OT. So really good win for the Tigers. I have to admit, I was being a bit of a pessimist. Thought they were going to lose there with about 3 minutes left, but they ended up getting it done in OT.
Well, how good is Nick Honor?
Just absolutely incredible player. Completely changes the team when his shot is falling. I think he had 21 points in this game, which is his Clemson career high. And he's on, the entire pace of the game is different. The entire offense is different, and he's also picking up the opposing best guard full court. He got a couple steals in this game as well, so just incredible player.
He's a bulldog.
He is.
And his spurtability, I use that word all the time, and I realize that a lot of people don't really understand what I'm saying, but his ability when the game is close or you're down 3 or 4 or 5 points, his ability to knock one down quick in a semi-break or something of that nature is pretty impressive. And there's one thing that went unnoticed, Faxon, and I don't know a lot of people realize, but Amir Sims realized this wasn't his game from the perimeter. So he gets that rebound at the end of the game. Clemson's down 3, and he just immediately finds Nick Honor. He knows if he passes to Nick Honor right away, Nick's going to be defended. What does he do? He drives right at Nick Honor's guy, able to pitch right behind him. That is a senior making senior plays in a crunch time situation, even when he doesn't have the ball. Are we having some microphone difficulties?
We definitely are, yes.
Yeah? Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Well, we got all kinds we have enough show to talk for the rest of the time about, but let's go ahead and move on. Power rankings. It's been a while since we've been in front of you. So we decided, well, we could go through each team really quickly and kind of give you an update of how things are going. There's a couple that I think are going to surprise you. There's a couple that I think people are going to agree with. I have the Tigers at 2. Why do I have them at 2? I think there's a lot of holes at the proverbial top this year, with Duke not playing as well, Boston College keeping up with them last night, and they don't have that go-to guy. When they needed a career performance out of Wendell Moore to get anything going. But I think Boston College could give people problems. I've said that all season long, but they've been struggling when it comes to the big games, which hurts me. I'm even going to gamble a little bit more on them later in this show because I love the way Jim Christian has put his team together. It's scoring guards, it's big physical guards that can get places and they can shoot the ball. But they are 0-3 in conference. I put them dead last. You want to know why? Because I think Steve Forbes is finally getting Wake Forest on the map. Those guys are playing hard, they're playing well, and they're starting to shoot the ball better and better. They just played Virginia really close and played them really well in the first half, which was nice to see. Miami, this is one that's going to jump up in my mind. Miami has been struggling with injuries. These rankings are based on where they are right now. Is that where I think they're going to end up? No. I think they're going to end up right at that 8-9 because they're losing games right now at the beginning of conference. It's going to end up hurting them. But this is a talent team that can make a run, especially second day of the ACC tournament, making it to the third, something of that nature. Notre Dame's curious to me as well. They have a good squad with Prentice Hub, Dane Goodwin. They have all the tools, but they haven't been able to pull one out. But they did play well at Chapel Hill, and they ended up only losing by 1 point. They have weapons, things of that nature. And then it starts to get interesting. The ACC is so wide open this year, it could be a matter of, hey, we're going to get 4 or 5 games right in a row, and then we're going to just keep it moving forward as far as they can just climb really quickly. They get some confidence. You get it rolling. There's no pre-conference. You're going to feel good about the way things are going. Syracuse is interesting. They have a lot of talent. Alan Griffin has been a lot better than what I had predicted initially. He's been able to score it, and he's been able to be a really good rebounder on the bottom of their 2-3. Problem, they played Pitt, lost at home to a Pitt team that's actually coming to be a pretty good team, and they've lost to them without Justin Champagnie. While D.C. Tony has been playing really well. How we doing, Faxon? Everything good?
We're working on some more kinks.
Okay. D.C. Tony for Pitt has been playing really well, but Syracuse, that zone, it's not going to let you get above the middle of the pack in this conference. I hate to say it, especially the way the game's played now. Everybody shoots the ball too well. Carolina, and there's going to be a lot of people that would like to argue with me in this one. You're going to knock over a camera, big guy. You got it?
Yeah.
There we go. This hadn't happened before. We apologize. Carolina, they don't shoot the ball well enough. You can be as big as you want in the front court, but the problem is people are starting to let Carolina shoot over the top, and whenever they shoot over the top, they're just putting all their emphasis on boxing out. They are still crashing the offensive rebounds pretty well, but Carolina just doesn't have enough scoring in the backcourt in order to make things happen. They're not scoring in transition, and they're definitely not guarding at a high level. NC State really took advantage of them, and they're going to continue to do so. Guard play is still young. I've said it once, I've said it again. The heels go as far as Caleb Love will let them go. And here's an interesting one for me because I like the way the direction of this team. I feel like the Pitt Panthers are going to be the surprise of the ACC this year. Coach Capel's done a really nice job establishing a culture. They're gritty, they're tough, they play defense. They have one of the best point guards in the league in Xavier Johnson. And they've had a breakout guy in Odise Tony who has been fantastic all season, above 15 points a game, and he's one of the best guard rebounders in the league. He's such a good guard rebounder, in fact, that they've actually slid him to the 4 position at times to give him mismatches with his quickness. So, Pitt, a team that is progressing a lot faster than one would think, wins at Miami, wins at Syracuse. Only 1 loss on record. I think it was to Virginia Tech.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, so they lose to Virginia Tech. Other than that, Pitt's playing really well. Are we good to go on the microphone?
I want to believe that we are good to go on the microphone.
Okay.
We have completely switched from the wireless mic to the wired mic.
We're good.
We're working on it.
We're good, man. We're good. So, number 7, Duke. And I put them all the way at number 7, and I'm not sure I should have put them that low because they still are undefeated in conference, Faxon. This is a team with holes. They had to have a career performance by Wendell Moore. I talked about that earlier against a Boston College team that's really struggling to get out of the gates. Matthew Hurts leading the conference in scoring. I'm a seller. I'm not a buyer on Duke. Faxon, where do you stand with the Blue Devils?
I think I had the Blue Devils personally ranked 6th in my rankings. And like you said, if they're dealing with a lot of injuries right now as well. I think Roach has been battling injuries. They've had a couple other guys, including Jalen Johnson, still not fully recovered from that foot injury. And I haven't seen anything from this team so far this year that makes me want to put them in that top 5 or top 4 that we thought they were going to be preseason. I haven't seen a single thing. So,
But it's weird. They've been better without Jalen Johnson. Since he left, they've been significantly better without him. But going up next, Virginia worries me. Are they still undefeated, Faxon? I believe they are in conference. They're still
Virginia is 2-0 in the conference right now.
Yeah.
I have them at my number 1 in the conference, which people might think that's outlandish, including you. I still believe this is the best team in the conference that will end up winning it. You look at that loss to San Francisco, I want to take that with a grain of salt because it hadn't practiced a lot as a unit before then, and I feel like that's kind of fluky. Their other losses to Gonzaga, which is looking to shape up to be one of the best college basketball teams ever right now.
Wow.
Not an exaggeration.
Yeah.
I can't see them losing, if I'm just being completely honest. They've already blitzed through their entire non-con schedule with just 0 flaws. So I think that that Gonzaga loss is going to look not as bad, especially at the end of the year. And I could see Virginia still winning 14 to 15 games in the conference, and that 2-0 schedule helps. And they have 2 cupcake games this week. I think they play Boston College and Notre Dame. So if they roll,
You say cupcake games.
you say cupcake games. There's no cupcake game in the ACC. I will acknowledge that.
Yeah.
If they lose to one of them, my stance will definitely change.
I think Boston College is going to compete, and we'll get to that later. And I'll tell you why, because Boston College has those guards. You have to make things happen against Virginia by yourself, and Boston College has those guys. I worry about this team, one, because offensively they're doing a lot of different stuff. They're posting up almost everybody. Kihei Clark's getting the ball in the post. He got in the post against Wake Forest several times. Wake Forest played them really tough, and Wake Forest is going to be a couple of years from being where they need to be.
Got a really good coach, too.
They have a really good coach, and we've talked about Steve Forbes before, brother in Balding, we're good. He's my man, but their talent level is not where it needs to be. Jalen Johnson was a 9th guy, 10th guy at Tennessee. He's starting for Wake. Now, they're also playing Carter Witt at Wake at the point, and he was in high school about 2 weeks ago. So, I mean, Wake has some issues, but Virginia's doing different things defensively, too. They're not hard hedging. They're not doing some things pick and roll defensively that they used to do. I'm kind of curious as to, if Tony Bennett's still trying to figure it out and tinker with defense and offense.
I think that he definitely is, and a large part for that is obviously the COVID protocols that were in place prior to the season. And he brought in 2 transfers. The main one being Hauser, who is probably the best player on the team. So they still have a lot of kinks to work out, but I would say I trust them going forward, just sheerly due to Tony Bennett, Kihei Clark, Sam Hauser, guys like this that I know are going to produce in the end. So that's why I have them at number 1. And I don't see them losing I think they're going to beat Clemson. Sorry, Clemson Nation. We never get those guys. So if they beat Clemson, then that really just reassures their spot number 1.
I think it's possible that Clemson beats Virginia.
You do?
Because I think Nick Honor means that much.
I really hope I'm wrong by saying I think Virginia's going to win that game. If Clemson beat Virginia, I think that would make them a shoo-in for the NCAA tournament, granted a total collapse doesn't happen.
Right. All right, number 5, I got NC State. I think this team is really good. They're long. Shaquille Moore, he showed it against Clemson. He has been fantastic. He played really well against Carolina, then ran it off and played extremely well against Boston College. I thought Cam Hayes was going to be that freshman that was really going to carry them. Shaquille Moore is an all-conference freshman after the way he's been playing. Fantastic all season long. Doesn't shoot it great, but he's so athletic and so powerfully built that he can get his hip on people, hold them off, finish around the basket, and he's a much better passer than what I thought.
Yeah, and he had 10 boards against Clemson. When you look at the stat sheet, you might be like, what? This guy's like 6'3" guard. Had 10 boards against Clemson, 7 points, a couple assists to go with that. Just instant difference maker when he was on the floor, you could tell. And NC State was missing Braxton Beverly as well in this game.
So they needed him.
He got hurt in warm-ups. We watched it happen.
What happened?
He pulled his hamstring or something in warm-ups. You could see him. He limped back to the locker room, and when they came out for game time, he was in street clothes. He was dressed to play 20 minutes before the game and hurt himself in warm-ups.
That is the worst feeling, a hamstring tear. I was going to say this, but Braxton Beverly, while he's not as dynamic as Marquise Johnson was
Markel Johnson, yeah.
Markel Johnson was last season, but he doesn't turn it over.
He's very composed.
4-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. 20 assists, 5 turnovers on the season. What does that do? That gives you guys more chances to get shots off. That's all. That's as simple as that. I like Florida State at number 4 right now. I feel like they're still trying to figure each other out. They're not really where they need to be offensively, and Scotty Barnes needs to decide if he really wants to be a defender. But offensively, he's been something else.
Yeah, and I really do trust this Florida State team. Once again, like, this is a big reason why I trust Virginia as well. Coaching matters more than the talent you have on the team, in my opinion. And I feel like that this Florida State team has a great combo of coaching and talent. And once they all mesh together, I think they're going to hit their stride in the mid to late ACC schedule. I have them at this same position.
Yeah, I like Balsa Koprivica too. I think he's somebody who doesn't get enough credit, but he's a good lob finisher. He's a good rim protector, and he's pretty athletic to be 7'2". Does a nice job protecting the basket. This Virginia Tech team has been interesting, and I'll tell you why. I feel like they shoot it well enough. They haven't shot it as well this season, but Kive Aluma has been an absolute problem for everybody involved, and he has all the room in the world to work because he's a good enough shooter, and his back to the basket game is really good, and you can't help off the other shooters that are on the floor. The only time they don't have a shooter on the floor is when Justin Mutz is in the game playing the 4 position. But, I mean, even Wabisa Bede, who is not necessarily a great shooter, is shooting better than 35%. This Virginia Tech team can take it a long way, and they really defend Faxon.
Yes, and once again, going to beat the same drum, coaching. Mike Young, fantastic coach. And they have a lot of talent on this team, don't get me wrong, but I think we would all agree, based off of our preseason predictions, what the media thought, that they're currently overachieving, as they did at the beginning of last season as well. And this year, I think, is different, and I think they can sustain the success and possibly hold a top 5 spot in the ACC when it's all said and done.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I have Clemson at 2 right now just because I'm so nervous to put them at 1. I know all the pundits and everybody else has them at the best ACC team in the country, in the conference, but I don't have the nerve to put them at 1 because I want them to do well.
Yeah.
But this team is guarding at an unbelievable rate. They're rotating fantastically. P.J. Hall and Omax Prosper have come along much faster than what I had originally anticipated. And it's not like they're scoring a lot of points. They're just taking what's being given to them.
Especially PJ. He's so composed and poised on offense, and he knows he can get to that little baseline shot, and he's going to knock that down every time. He did that against NC State. And then obviously that clutch layup. I mean, talk about a moment for a true freshman. Just coming into the game after Jonathan Bear fouled out and being confident enough to get the ball in the post from his teammates and coach. And even Brad said in the postgame, he's like, throw it down to PJ. He had a one-on-one and just got the friendly roll on that hook.
And it was Manny Bates.
Yeah.
Top shot blocker in the country.
He went right up on him like he wasn't scared at all. And that was the mentality the Tigers had whole night.
Yeah, it's an impressive way to see the way that Clemson's defense is pushing teams out. You're initiating your offense about at the NBA three-point line as opposed to right on the college three-point line. It makes a significant difference. It messes up timing, it messes up angles, and it messes up a lot of what you want to do. At the ACC level, if passes have to travel 3 more feet than they normally do, man, the athletes are good enough to get out there and contest and really throw you off your bind.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And we've seen that Clemson's been super active in the passing lane, specifically Amir Sims and Clyde Trapp, 2 seniors, and playing this brand of defense and with their IQ and them both being veterans, they're going to be able to pick out those passing lanes, and they've both been super active on defense all year. Amir actually got that steal at the end of regulation against NC State by jumping a passing lane, and then obviously Nick missed the game winner but got an OT. So
yeah. Louisville.
They're so good.
Very good.
Carlick Jones has been the absolute breakout player of the ACC so far. He is incredible. And Chris Mack is a fantastic coach.
Well, we kind of figured that Carlick Jones would be that good. This is a team whenever they were playing against Wisconsin and they got absolutely smoked, they were dealing with a lot of injuries too. This has kind of been a maturation process for a lot of their guys. Gabe Wisnitzer, South Carolina native, who's up there playing for Louisville right now, he's been forced into the action a little bit. He was supposed to redshirt. He's getting pretty good minutes. Despite injuries to a lot of their big guys, he's been playing pretty well. Samuel Williamson's back. Josh Nickelberry's playing well. There's a lot to like about this team. David Johnson's making passes that normal college kids don't make. He's doing a nice job finding people off pick and rolls. Carlick Jones is an absolute stud. I like this Louisville team. I'm going to let you sit right there and analyze this from the top.
Yes.
And then you can do that since we're having microphone trouble.
Yes, so this would be my power rankings. It's not really that much different from yours, except I think I have Virginia up top. So Virginia I have as number 1 on the board. Louisville I've got at number 2, Clemson at number 3, VT at number 4, and you guys can read down the rest of the list. The only surprising things I would say, as opposed to the preseason predictions, would be North Carolina is not all that great.
No.
And Caleb Love is really struggling, and he's kind of got Cole Anthony syndrome right now. He can not shoot the ball efficiently, and it's costing his team some buckets. Garrison Brooks appears to have regressed, weirdly enough, and he's not even starting now. Roy benched him, actually. So it should be interesting to see what their lineup is on Saturday against the Tigers. But one thing that would stick out to me on here would be Miami at 10. I think they are going to shoot up this list, as you said as well. They've been missing Likes and McGusty, and this is a really good team that I think can even get back to 500 in the ACC after their rough start. I think they're that good and maybe contend for an NCAA tournament spot.
You have Wake Forest at 13. You really don't like Notre Dame, huh?
Man, I can't buy into Notre Dame, and I really just trust Forbes a lot more than I trust him at Notre Dame. So
Mike Bray?
Yeah, Mike Bray. I'm really high on Steve Forbes, so that is what it is.
Well, he has his guys playing hard, that's for sure.
I haven't seen a ton of effort out of Notre Dame, if I'm being honest. I feel like their effort is not as good as it's been in years past, and they get a little lazy on defense at times.
Yeah, there's something to be said there, but Notre Dame, because they're not very deep, and they play those guys so many minutes, it really hampers them defensively.
Yeah.
But I guess he's just kind of hoping that the old Big East style will go, where they'll just play half court offense all the time. So I don't know. I think that's an interesting one. I think Notre Dame has enough talent to be up in that 8, 9, 10 area. I just don't know that they have enough players to really make that happen.
I would agree with that, yes.
Yep. Okay, so next we have Big Fax's Mid-Major Play of the Week, and it actually works out pretty well here in the Upstate. Let me go ahead and fast forward it. Go ahead. I'll let you have it.
All right, so this week for the Mid-Major Underrated Man of the Week, we've got Noah Gurley out of Furman. He's around 6'8", 210, and he's been killing it this year, averaging 15 points per game, 5 rebounds, and adding almost 2.5 steals and blocks a game. Shooting pretty efficiently from the field and 3 as well. Shot actually better from 3 last year, was up 40%. I would say that he gets around that area as well. SoCon All-Freshman team in 2018 and SoCon All-SoCon third team last year. This guy is the best player. Him and Bothright are the best players on the Paladins this year. And I think Furman is a really deep team that has a chance to make the NCAA tournament out of the SoCon.
So you think they'll be the automatic bid, huh?
I would like to say from a talent perspective that they should be, but in years past they've gotten to that stage and they haven't been able to get over the hump. I think if there's ever a year for them to get over the hump in the SoCon, this is the year, because ETSU is down this year, Wofford is down this year, and Furman has established himself, in my opinion, as the best team in the Southern Conference.
Well, I'm glad that you say that, because I'm going to call Furman and VMI on Saturday, so that gives me a little bit of a preview for my man Noah Gurley. Obviously 6'8", 210, has significant size. He's going to be able to, I'm guessing they play him at the 4. He does a little pick and pop action, probably run some offense through him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited to watch him play.
Well. Pretty good passer as well, so he can really do it all on offense.
Between him and Bothright, they're pretty tough. Both of those guys average significant minutes, right?
Yeah, and then you got Clay Mounts is kind of that third guy, and he comes in and gives you double-double on a lot of nights. Doesn't average double-double, but I think he's the leading rebounder on the team with about 6 or 7, and he also gets 10-plus points a night. Really good wing player to have, and they should have beat Alabama, but if you're a Clemson fan, you're glad they didn't, because that's good for Alabama's resume for them to have those extra wins. So.
Yeah. Well, good. So there's a couple of games this weekend that I think are going to be interesting. We're not going to pick Clemson, North Carolina, because I know that everybody else feels like I'm a homer, which is partly true. But we are going to talk about a couple of other ones. Look at these. This one's interesting to me, Virginia and Boston College, and I'll tell you why. If the spread is too big, and I'm assuming that it will be, Virginia doesn't score a lot of points, and they definitely haven't been defending like they have in recent years. This is a Boston College team that has enough guards that can score a lot of points by themselves. Jay Heath, Winston Tabbs, Mekhi Ashton Langford. That's 3 guys that can get to the hole by themselves. Now, I do worry, obviously, because they just can't get out of the starting blocks.
Yeah, and their defense at Boston College this year has been pathetic, and I think that's putting it nicely. Nobody on that team wants to guard up, and I think that Sam Hauser might go for 25 or 30 in this game, depending on which team dictates the pace, because if Boston College can get Virginia playing at their pace, I would agree with you that they do have a chance, depending on Virginia's shot-making ability.
I'm going the other direction on that one. They have Stephen Mitchell guarding Sam Hauser.
So you don't think that Sam Hauser's going to have a good game?
I think he could have a good game, but I think if there's one guy in the conference that's quick enough on his feet and quite frankly, aggressive enough to make something happen to Stephen Mitchell. I didn't even think about that until you just said it. And then James Carnick, he matches up pretty well with Jay Huff. Jay Huff's a stud in my opinion, but
Yeah, Huff can shoot it too.
yeah, he's a really good shooter, and he's going to be able to drag things out. But I'm telling you, Virginia just doesn't seem. There's something missing this year.
We'll
There's
see.
something missing. I am
hope you're right.
I am a
really
Reese
hope you're right.
Beekman fan. Have
Yeah.
you watched Reese Beekman,
Yeah.
freshman in Louisiana? Holy moly, what a first step. I mean, elite speed already. Top 50 recruit out of Louisiana, Mr. Louisiana basketball. Watch out for Reese Beekman. It probably won't be this year because Kihei Clark is getting a lot of the minutes. Watch for Reese Beekman to be a dude next year. Give it a little time. So, but we're both going Virginia. I am worried about the spread, though. The spread is the part. Like, if it's 10, 15 points, I might go Boston College.
Yeah.
We just have to wait
I would
and see.
I would have to check the spread on that, and we can come back with some more. I'm guessing it's probably going to be in that 8 to 12 point range somewhere.
Yeah, and if that's the case, I might pick Boston College because I just don't know that I just don't know that Virginia can score
Enough points.
80 points to beat them by 10 or 12.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All right, Florida State at Pitt. Pitt is playing really well, and they've got tools everywhere. I think Justin Champagnie, he's questionable for this game. This is a team that rebounds really well. Pitt is a tough out in this conference.
They need Champagne to play, and I know you're picking Pitt here, just based off of. I can tell by the look on your face that you're picking Pitt here.
Yeah.
But I'm going to elect to go with Florida State because I trust them more than Pitt. If Champagne plays, Pitt has a chance because he is one of the best players in the conference. Statistically, he could probably get a first or second team All-ACC nod if he keeps up this production. So it's really up in the air for his status for who I think will win this game. But even with him, I think Florida State has too much talent, and they're going to overpower Pitt.
I just feel like Florida State's finding themselves still. I like this Pitt team. They know who they are. They're gritty. They're grimy. They're a little bit dirty. They're going to get up underneath you, and they have a little bit of shooting this year. Ithiel Horton has played really well for them, shot it really well against Syracuse, able to space the floor better than anybody they had last year. I'm going Pitt in an upset. Pitt gave them a hard time last year without all the scoring. So there you have it. Notre Dame, Virginia Tech.
I think that, man, it pains me every time I pick Virginia Tech because of what they did last year, because they're starting the season really well again, but I'm telling myself this team is different. They're going to handle Notre Dame with ease. That is my prediction. I think they're too good of a team to lose to Notre Dame. And you're picking Notre Dame. Man.
I'm going Notre Dame.
Really?
I'm telling you why. Prentice Hub, Dane Goodwin, they can shoot it. Virginia Tech doesn't extend out. Prentice Hub can get downhill, and he's going to play enough to really get comfortable against that defense. I like Virginia Tech a lot. I think the personnel for Notre Dame is going to give them problems. I think Nate Laszewski is going to have about 30 because he's going to pull out of other big men, and he's going to be able to knock it in. I like this team. I think they can defend well enough with Durham in there. It's going to be Kive Aluma and Jalen, or was it Durham? Durham, big guy.
Yeah.
Durham. Starts with a J. I have no idea. I can't remember. 7 feet, though, and he's one of the leading shot blockers in Notre Dame history. He's a good matchup for Aluma. Matchup-wise, I think I like Notre Dame in this one, even on the road. I like it.
Man, that's a bold prediction because it's hard to win at Virginia Tech. Clemson couldn't even do it. So you think Notre Dame can get it done on the road?
I think it's going to be a tough one. I think they can because they're going to have enough people to actually get there. You like that, didn't you?
Yeah, that was nice.
You like that. All right, so Clemson does have an interesting one on Saturday. There's going to be a couple of sophomores. If they're able to get a win, they're going to be undefeated in Chapel Hill this decade. You want to talk about something that'd be really interesting. The makeup of this team is odd. This guy right here, Carolina goes as far as Caleb Love will take him. I think it's going to be a struggle for him to deal with Clemson's pressure. Clemson really guards the basketball, and they really guard the three-point line really well. R.J. Davis has been good, not great. He's still trying to figure it out. And I left Garrison Brooks up here because we had so much hype heading into the season that, to be honest with you, it scares me a little bit, Fax. And he has really struggled, and I think one of the things that he does best, is offensive rebound. Without Cole Anthony hoisting him up 20 times a game, he hasn't had that same opportunity.
Yeah, and we saw Brooks just have a monster year last year, averaged a double-double, down to around 7.5 boards this year, only playing 10 points per game, or only putting in 10 points per game. And I told you, he got benched. Just straight up benched by Roy Williams last game. Had a terrible game in their previous matchup and came off the bench. Didn't play a bad game against Miami, but still not up to what we're used to from Garrison Brooks.
Well, they needed a last-second shot by Andrew Playtech. So the difference between a last-second shot between Amir Sims and Playtech is play tech, that means you got a little bit lucky for that to occur. I mean, I don't think I'm stumping anybody with that one. They got a little bit lucky. Clemson got to what they wanted to do, and then were able to hit a game winner. I'm worried about this team. This isn't a great team. This is a middle-of-the-pack ACC team. I feel like Roy's having a hard time wrangling in these two guys. I know you're a huge Roy fan, but he's having a hard time wrangling in these two freshmen. And I'm telling you, these one-and-dones, and I want to address this as soon as we're done talking, the one-and-done schools like Carolina, they're having a hard time doing things and making kids adjust without a summer because of COVID.
And Caleb Love is shooting 27% from the field right now, 17% from three. Personally, I can't see that improving on what I think is one of the upper echelon defensive teams in the conference for sure, and in the country maybe with Clemson. I think Nick Honor and Alamir Dawes are going to pester him all night, and I don't see an outlet for them to win this game without Caleb Love giving them production. I just don't know if he's going to be able to do that.
Yeah. I think it's going to be hard for him because Clemson's guards are really going to get up underneath Carolina's young guards. Carolina hasn't been scoring in transition. And if you look around the country, Kentucky, Duke, Carolina, they've really struggled to adjust without that summer of workouts. That's one of the biggest keys to getting freshmen adjusted, especially to being against bigger, faster, stronger. This has all just been thrown on them. And quite frankly, Clemson got two ready-made dudes, and they have excellent leadership with Amir Sims, that they were able to adjust a little bit quicker. This is a major problem.
Yeah, and I cannot say I'm bullish on Carolina going forward, as I don't see an outlet for them to get marginally better as to where we thought they were going to be preseason without production from Caleb Love. So it really just, it's what it was last year. You need the point guard to play well, or you're not going to win games in UNC.
Yep, yeah. Do we have any questions?
I can check the comments real quick. I do not think we have any questions.
No, we don't have any questions. Guys, look, it was about 3 weeks off, and then obviously we're a little rusty. We need to make sure all of our equipment works. I need to make sure all of these things come available the way they need to. But we will be back with you again next week. Clemson plays Carolina, and they have another game right after that. So should be a fun week of basketball. Come here, stick with me, and